Okay. All right. Hey, Abby, thank you so much for being here with me tonight and being willing to share your experience working with Fashion Fix with everyone else. We can't wait to hear everything about it. But before we jump into your story, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, who are you? Where do you live? Give us a little background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Abby. I live in the DC metro area. And for my 30th birthday last year, I decided to really commit to figuring out my personal style, figuring out exactly what my wardrobe should look like, in all honesty, because I was just frustrated with how much effort it took to get dressed and not feeling 100% myself, even on my best days. So I
Oh my
really
gosh,
decided to
preach.
commit.
Oh, totally. Okay, and before we get into the nitty-gritty of like working with Fashion Fix, I'm sure everybody wants to know what's your body shape and what's your personal style.
Yeah, so I am bottom curvy, and I'm very short at 5'2". So all my short bottom curvy girls, I feel you. Pants are hard. And I am casual, sporty, and preppy.
Okay, we share a spirit together. Casual,
Yes.
sporty, preppy. That's me too. That's me too.
I think filling out
Um,
my style quiz, I was like, you were like, who are your inspirations? I was like, who is it too weird to say you? But
I actually see that come up quite a bit on style quizzes, which doesn't surprise me because you may think about like influencers that we follow or different accounts on social media. Like we follow people that we see ourselves in, right? So there's a lot of casual, preppy, sporty gals out there watching this and that are part of the Fashion Fix community. So, okay, here's what I'd love to start with. I would love to hear you tell us a little bit about your relationship with your wardrobe, with your closet, with your clothes, with shopping prior to working with Fashion Fix? Like, where were you at? How were you feeling about those things?
So prior to anything that I had done with Fashion Fix, I think I had a lot of aspirational fashion goals. I saw a lot of people on social media, even in real life, especially pre-COVID, going into work every day, just seeing those people who really looked put together all the time, and not finding that in myself. So what I really had, I would say pre-Fashion Fix, maybe a few outfits that I felt really great in, that were set, this bottom with this top and maybe a layer in there and a single pair of shoes. And I would have
Mhm.
those that were my go-to. But what I found was I was just wearing the same things over and
Mm,
over again. And when I
yes.
tried new things or tried to mix and match, it just wouldn't work, but I couldn't figure out exactly why. So I would say I had a lot of frustration as well
Yeah.
with seeing other people seeming to do it easily and
Yeah.
really
Almost looks
struggling.
effortless, right? Other than
Yes.
being able to be dressed well, is what I would say, right? Like dress well and show up authentically, like as themselves. And you kind of touched on this a little bit when you're introducing yourself of just even on your best days, not feeling as your best self, right? With your wardrobe and with your clothes and how you were showing up. So, and you'd also said, it was your kind of a 30th birthday treat, but what at that point, even though it was like a birthday treat for yourself, what made you decide that that's what you wanted to gift yourself for your 30th birthday? Like what made you kind of take the plunge into working with Fashion Fix?
I think so. Body shape analysis was what I did first. And looking at some of I can't recall exactly what they are, but the seasonal like guides that are done by body shape. I remember seeing that and seeing you talk about it on Instagram, and I was like, that sounds really interesting and like something that
Hmm.
could at least be a good jumping off point for me. But I knew I needed the body shape to get that first. So
Hmm.
I think that really helped me move forward to decide, hey, let's do a body shape analysis. Let's get, that seasonal guide, so that I can start trying to add some pieces. But I think really from a fashion fix perspective specifically, it was hearing a lot about not needing a lot of clothes to have a lot to wear because I think I was feeling overwhelmed as well by my wardrobe and my closet. And I felt like I was just constantly getting rid of things and yet
Oh,
still
yeah.
not happy with what I had.
Yes.
And so it was like I was trying to add more without really being strategic about what makes
Hmm.
sense, what really adds
Yeah.
value.
It's almost like you were feeling frustrated with your wardrobe. You didn't have things to wear, so you kept adding more and more. And even with having more options in your closet, you did not have more things to wear. So the math like wasn't mathing, right?
And the
And
overwhelm was
so
just like growing
yes,
and growing.
it
And
just
I'm like,
getting bigger and bigger, like more stress, more just like it just piling on top of you. Totally. I think that's so relatable to so many people out there that are listening to this, of just feeling like they're staring at a sea of clothes in their closet and dumbfounded of how can I still be so unhappy with my choices of what I have to wear. So it's sort of what I say with Fashion Fix. We kind of have to put a tourniquet on. Like we need to stop the bleeding. Let's pause, right?
yeah,
Before we spend more of our resources, time, money, energy on things that aren't going to deliver the value that you want. So we want to kind of course correct. So, okay, so that's kind of what got you started with Fashion Fix, and you had a body shape analysis. But then, what did we do next? Was it a wardrobe deep dive after that?
yes,
Okay, so you
yes.
jumped into a wardrobe deep dive. So tell us a little bit about like what your expectations were or what you kind of were hoping for as you were getting ready for the wardrobe deep dive.
So as I said at the beginning, I'm not in the Twin Cities, so we did a virtual
Yeah, we did
wardrobe
it
deep dive.
virtual. Yep.
So honestly, I was a little bit nervous going into it. I just wasn't sure exactly what to expect. What I was hoping for was to get just some resources and a better understanding of what I had, what I could add, and really just kind of changing that mindset around my wardrobe. And I think that was exactly what I got. There were a few pieces that I tried on that you were easily able to spot, maybe try tucking it in a different way, or maybe it's just something that doesn't work well. But explaining why really helped me to identify what I had that really, if I continued to get more of, was definitely not going to fix the
Yeah, it's
problem.
still, oh my gosh. Yes, you would get more of what you already have, and what you already had wasn't working.
Right.
So we don't want to keep adding more of that to your closet.
Yes. And so I
Oh,
think that was being able to show you some outfits, put things on, and then making sure that I also did some prep work ahead of time to have
hmm.
my closet a good idea of what I wanted to talk about, and show you, and then go
Yeah.
through the categories and the categorization as well. Definitely helped a
Yeah.
ton.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you remembered to call out that we did that virtually, because I think, people are like, well, how can we deep dive through my closet over Zoom? Like, how is this going to work where I can't necessarily be physically hands on? But I mean, we're still able to get through, pieces in your closet, trying stuff on, getting feedback to you on why things work, why they did it. Again, what we want to stop buying more because it's not working, and kind of course correct on what we do want to add to your wardrobe, and really helping you. I think with the wardrobe deep dive, you really get more of that really detailed personalized coaching of I'm seeing something on you that you don't feel right in, and I can call out the specific fit points or the specific style details on it that are working for you, so you can get those kind of clicks, right? You can kind of get those ahas of like, oh, this is why it feels like I'm trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Like, oh, it's
Yes.
because of this. It's because of this on the shoulder or this on the neckline or whatever it might be. So so we do the body shape, or we do the body shape analysis. We have the wardrobe deep dive. And so what kind of happened for you after the wardrobe deep dive? Like what was sort of your like takeaways and homework after we did that big 2 hour chunk in your closet?
Yes. So then my takeaways were to go through my closet in even more depth, try on some things. I got rid of a ton. So I actually just had a laundry basket while we were on Zoom, set to the side that as we were trying things on, it was like, nope, this doesn't work. Let's get rid of it. And then after we got off the call, I went through those to figure out if I'm getting rid of this, is it something that needs to be replaced? Because
Hmm.
it's, a staple in my wardrobe, an essential piece, or is it just something that didn't work for my style, doesn't need to be replaced?
Yeah.
I had plenty of that.
Yeah.
That really what didn't need updated,
Yeah.
didn't need replaced, just needed
Yeah.
to go out of my house.
Yeah.
Um,
And what's nice too with the wardrobe deep dive is you get those tools that now when you are course corrected, you know what course you're supposed to be on. So
yes,
now, I'm guessing that when you were getting rid of things, it felt more like, oh, I'm getting rid of this not out of frustration and not out of confusion, but because I specifically know that this cut does not work for me, that this style does not work for me. And so there's so much more strategy behind what you're getting. There's strategy behind what you're getting rid of in your closet alongside strategy of what we're going to be bringing into your closet. Like there needs to be both of that.
Yes. And I would say,
Hmm.
especially after the wardrobe deep dive, a tool that it gave me was the confidence to let go of things and to say,
Oh,
this doesn't work for me. And now I understand why, so that I either, if it is an essential, can replace it with something that does work better. But it allowed me, I think before I held on to so many pieces of clothing, thinking that that's what would fix my challenges. But what I
mm,
found after that was it's okay to have less. It's actually less overwhelming. You know what you have to choose from. You love all of it, which makes it just much easier going forward. And I think that was something I almost needed some permission from someone to just
yeah.
say, you don't need that. Not adding value.
Oh, I'm like, oh, I hear the angels singing as you were saying these things. It's just like music to my ears. I'm just obsessed with hearing that. Of just like women carry so much stinking guilt and shame over their wardrobes. And it's something I come up against with clients time and time again. Of it's like, I spent all this time, I spent all this money on this clothes, and I need to make them work because that was wasteful if I can't, or I'm like, I can't believe I made the mistake of getting something that's not right for me. So I have to force myself to try to figure out how to wear it. And I love coming in and just like you said, giving women the permission to release all of that. But I think the confidence in being able to get rid of that stuff and release that stuff from your closet comes from, like we said, now you have the tools to know what you are shopping for, what you are looking for in your wardrobe, how things should be fitting you. So we can go down a different path, right? That's going to lead to different
Yeah.
results of what you're bringing into your wardrobe. I love that. I love that. Okay, so after we did the wardrobe deep dive, what were some of the other services that you used with Fashion Fix to kind of support you on your journey?
So I've done a few style coaching sessions, which has been hugely helpful when I had
Mm.
specific questions. One I can remember very clearly, it was a question about sneakers. I am casual and I am sporty, so I love a good sneaker, but I
Yeah.
could not find ones that felt true to me, and
Hmm.
authentic when I wore them, and it mixed and matched with everything I had. And I remember having a call with you and saying, Lindsay, these are my white sneakers. Why don't they work? Like, this
Yeah.
is them. Is it my socks? What's the problem here? And so just being able to talk with you about things that are seemingly silly because I thought white sneakers were the same across the board. They're not.
Yep.
And it was so helpful since you had known my body shape, you knew my personal style, and we'd done the wardrobe deep dive. So you had a pretty good idea of the clothes that I already owned. You were able to recommend, hey, I think you need a chunkier sole. You need
Hmm.
something that's less, kind of narrow, and less flat. So I went to DSW the next day, tried on every pair of white sneakers in that store, and finally found a pair that I wear all the time.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I love that.
And I
And
think
it's
that's
that was helpful. Well, I'll tell you, it's I the virtual style coaching sessions, like you were just talking about, these quick 30-minute one-on-ones where you can come with like a specific piece in question. It's shocking with some clients how the smallest detail can make such a change in the way something works for your shape or your style, where it simply is like, it's the sole. The sole on that shoe does not work for you because either it's this style or this color or this height or this whatever. Or it is, I had a client today, I think it was today, we were looking at a cardigan in her closet. I'm like, it's the buttons. It's the buttons on that. Like if those were a different button, that would work for you. But and so having those coaching sessions and being able to ask those questions and giving me the opportunity to look at some of those specific things, it just again is part of those tools that help you go down the right course. When we've course corrected, we want to keep you on that right course, right? So, okay, so virtual style coaching sessions. What else? Anything else?
and I've also done a virtual shopping guide as well.
Okay, yes.
Um, in did it in like the fall or the winter to help as I
Okay.
was transitioning my wardrobe for a new season. Also getting ready to go back into the office a little bit more.
Yeah.
So looking for some of that more specific workwear, colder weather wear, transition
Yeah.
weather, I guess. So had that filled out, a long questionnaire of what I was looking
Yeah.
for, which was super helpful to say specifically the work piece. Hey, I'm going back to an
Yeah.
office. Here's kind of how I need to dress, and here's what I feel like I'm missing, and
Hmm.
have your team shop for me so that then I could go in, select what I wanted from there, try on some things. And I think too, circling back to having the right tools, once I got things, I was able to decide for myself once they
Yep.
were here, do they fit right? Do they match my style? Um, is there any way it needs to be
Yep.
tailored or altered, or having that vocabulary to figure out exactly
Yes.
what
Yeah.
what worked and what didn't.
And I'm guessing too, as you were requesting that personal shopping guide, having done the wardrobe deep dive together and understanding more of the course we wanted your wardrobe to be on, you knew what to ask for,
Yes.
right? So that's kind of the thing when you are just kind of grabbing anything that you can get your hands on, throwing it to the wall and seeing what sticks. It's like it's a free for all on what you're spending your time and money on. And when we can get a better game plan for you, then even when you go and work with a personal shopper, it's going to be so much more effective because you're like, I know specifically what I need for my closet and where the gaps and holes are that I need to fill, what's going to add the most value to my wardrobe. And it, like you said before, it ends up being a lot less that you need than you think you do because you can do so much more
Yes.
with it when you have the right pieces.
And I
So,
think working all within the fashion fix landscape as well
mhm.
was super helpful because they knew my style, they knew my body shape. We're all speaking the same language here. So I
Yes.
think that helped a ton. And they found some pieces. I don't want to spend forever browsing the depths of the websites. That's not my skill set. And so it was
Yeah.
nice to have it narrowed down to say, hey, here's, a few pages of things that we think would work really well for you. And
Hmm.
because they had all that information on file, even though I filled it out and gave,
Yeah.
some additional information, I think that was really helpful too. It felt like they kind of knew me and what I was looking for
Yeah.
already.
So now, obviously I have worked with you for a while. We've met with a lot of these coaching sessions. So intimately involved with your wardrobe, right? And your journey with it. So I have a story, but I want to hear what yours is first of what was a major aha moment you had in your journey with working with Fashion Fixer where you were like, oh my gosh, I've really come a long way. I am really in a good spot with my wardrobe. I didn't think I could get here. What would be a moment that gave you that feeling of like, I have come really far with my wardrobe?
Probably maybe like 4 or 5 months after I had my wardrobe deep dive and had been working on my wardrobe, I went on a trip for a wedding. And I had met, I think we actually had a coaching session where I was asking about wedding dresses and kind of what should I look for. I'm struggling with something for the warmer climate. You gave me some tips. I went and found something that worked great, but it was a weekend trip for a destination, not a destination, but not in the DC area
Yeah.
wedding. And I packed so smoothly. I was able to just put things in my suitcase that I knew would work together. I didn't spend hours trying the clothes on before I put them in the suitcase because I knew that they fit. I knew that I liked them. And then I wasn't running out and buying anything like the day before, which was just amazing. And then I showed up, we landed, it was like 10 p.m., super late, met some friends out at a bar, and one of my friends from DC was like, "You look so good." And I was like, "Thank you. I just got off a plane, but I'm just so confident in what I'm wearing." And it was nothing crazy or super
Yeah.
special. It was just clothes I felt great in.
Oh,
And she was like, "You look amazing."
yeah, that was my story too. That was my story
Yeah.
too. Because I remember when we met and we talked about that trip and got you planned for it. And then when you came home from it, we met again. And when you told me that story of how easy it was for you to pack, you weren't going out and buying a bunch of new clothes to wear for this trip. You knew you already had stuff in your closet that would work for you. It wasn't painful to pack for the trip. You felt good in what you were wearing when you were there. Like that whole experience for you, it's like I have goosebumps. I have goosebumps on my arms right now thinking about it for you because that is That is all of my hopes and dreams for you coming together. You're not spending a ton of extra time, money, and energy on anything. You feel confident and comfortable when you show up. You feel like your authentic self. And this goes back to when you were saying before at the beginning, you would always see other people who were well dressed, and it seemed so effortless. And when we break it down into what makes somebody well dressed, how does somebody dress well every day? Honest to God, it's because they're wearing clothes that fit their body shape. They're wearing clothes that authentically reflect their style and they work for the life situation they're in, right? They're appropriate. So shape, style, life. When we check all of those boxes, we realize we don't have to have the fanciest name brand things. We don't have to have the trendiest stuff. We don't have to have all of these really like extravagant outfits that make us well dressed. It is simply just having things that fit you well, feel authentic when you wear them, and work for the life situation you're in. And just like you said, I got off an airplane. You got off an airplane. You weren't wearing anything super fancy, but you're like, I was well dressed. I was really well dressed. I love that story. I love that story so much. So that's too when I was like, "Oh, Abby, you have done it. You have come so far." So now when you think about, prior to working with Fashion Fix and you had talked a little about your frustration and the relationship you have with your wardrobe and clothes and shopping and all of that. And now when we're on this kind of other side of the journey after working with Fashion Fix, what would you say your relationship with your wardrobe, your closet, your clothes shopping, what is that now?
It's definitely much healthier and much more positive. I
Hmm.
would say I wouldn't say I'm a fashionista. I don't know that I'm
Hmm.
ever the person that people are like, wow, I'm going to follow you for style tips. But I feel so confident in what I'm wearing. I feel put together, which I think is what
Hmm.
I always wanted to describe myself as, is just, wow, she really just always looks comfortable and like she
Hmm.
likes what she's wearing. And so I think definitely more positive and healthy in that respect. And I think too, very true to who I am. I feel like every
Yeah.
piece that I have in my wardrobe really reflects me as a person and my style, but also meets the needs of, my
Hmm.
life. And so if I
Yeah.
have to dress up for a wedding or dress up for work, I feel like I have the clothes that I need to do that, and that helps a lot. But also that I have a lot of things I feel comfortable in. And I think that's one of my favorite things about Fashion Fix as well is not feeling like we have to be following
Hmm.
all of the trends and making sure that we're
Hmm.
adding more and more and more. Or even that it has to be, you have to wear hard pants all the time because we want to wear joggers, we want to wear
Yeah.
leggings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the
Uh,
biggest things is I've learned like you can do that and still feel put together and still,
yeah.
feel like you put on an outfit instead of just
Hmm.
threw your sweatpants on.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So, one of the things that I know is really real is that inviting someone in to come and get get down and dirty in your closet with you. Watch you try on pants, watch you try on hard pants and tell you why they don't fit you, right?
Yeah.
That can be so intimidating and a very vulnerable place to be in. And I recognize that tenfold. So I am very sensitive to that when I go in and I work with clients. That this is a very vulnerable situation. It can be very sensitive for a lot of women. And so, what can you say about that? Like, what advice or what would you say to women that are maybe kind of thinking about, okay, I'm going to get a body shape analysis, or I'm going to schedule that wardrobe deep dive, or just start their journey somewhere, but it can feel a little intimidating, which we totally get. What advice or what would you say to someone, a listener out there who's kind of feeling that way?
I think my biggest piece of advice is to just commit to it, commit
Mm-hmm.
to starting, commit to doing the work, because I think that's the other piece. It's not a single appointment and then your whole wardrobe is fixed. As we've said, I've
Mm-hmm.
had many different services that have helped me really kind of turn the ship around and make sure I'm going down the right path.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the vulnerability, at least for me, I hit a point where the frustration, the overwhelm were so high that even though it is hard to have someone
Yeah.
say, this is why it doesn't work for you, I also knew from how you show up on social media and everything that Fashion Fix stands for that if I felt strongly that I love something and you're like, that really doesn't work for your style or your body shape, you'd be like, but if you love it, you should wear it. And
Yeah.
that made me feel really good because I
Yeah.
was like, you're going to help me understand things that I already know, at least have some
Yeah.
inkling aren't working. Give me that language to explain
Hmm.
why, teach me what to look for so that I can stop feeling so frustrated all
Yeah.
of the time.
I love that. That's so helpful. And, just to kind of keep like piggybacking on that, it's, when Fashion Fix comes in and I personally come in and work with a client one-on-one, the intention isn't to turn you into somebody else. Like, oh, you don't like how you're dressing, you don't like how you're showing up. Let me help you become a different person. Right? No, that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is, okay, let me help you become the best version of you. If you
Yes.
don't like the way you're showing up, you don't like the way you feel in your clothes, let me show you how to be a better and best you. That's where I'm going to get you. I'm not going to come in and I'm not going to say, okay, you have to morph and turn into this person so you can like fit into what we think is cool or dressed well or stylish or trendy. Like, nope, I just want to help you be a comfortable and confident you. Like, build your best wardrobe. There's no, like, we don't have any sort of, our formulas, our systems, our tools that we use at Fashion Fix. It's not a one size fits all in the sense of everybody's going to end up in the same spot. Like, we're getting everybody here. Like, this is the closet that we're building for every client. Every client's closet is going to look different. We have the same kind of like roadmap and the same tools, but the way that they're applied and the way that they turn out, like it's a different end game for everybody. And I even tell
Right.
that with clients. I was like, you could have somebody who has the same exact body shape as you and the same exact style profile as you. Your closets could look completely different and have totally different things in it because we take into consideration the uniqueness and the personalization of, you know, your preferences, what you like, what's going to work for your life. So, Abby, you are a dream. I just love everything you have to say about everything. I'm so excited we got to have this conversation. Any other like last thoughts, words, or you're like, oh, I've got to say this before we end our conversation.
Would just say if anyone is thinking about this, I can't recommend it enough. Just the confidence that it's given me, the comfort and the release of mental load, just trying to figure
Mm,
out what to wear, how to wear it, when to wear it, has not gone 100% away, but has been significantly
yeah.
decreased through all of this experience. And I think Lindsay, you've been awesome to work with. You're so helpful, and it's so nice to hear your opinion. And I also know it's always delivered with compassion and understanding that, again, if I feel strongly about something, you're never
Hmm.
going to tell me not to wear it. And I think
Yeah.
that is the biggest thing that I can tell people is if you feel great in it, then maybe you don't need this.
Yep.
Like you're
Yep.
killing it. And I think there's a lot of people who don't though, and this is a very, very
Yeah.
helpful step to take is to start working on that and making that commitment. If you do the work up front, every day gets
Yeah.
easier.
It gets easier and easier and easier. Yes. Amen. I love it. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Abby. I appreciate you. And I know that there's someone who's listening to this right now, and it's like you're speaking to their soul. Like they're like, oh my gosh, is Abby like looking inside of me right now? Like, so
I
I
promise if you are like a sweatpants and hoodie gal, like I still am sometimes, but definitely was pre this, like you can be put together as well
we
and
can do
still
it.
so feel yourself.
We can do it. Thank you.